Welcome back, everybody. Andy here. In this next section, I'm going to be describing the different risks that can occur in setting up and implementing a new CRM system to a company. Now, of course, there's a whole long list of what could happen out there. I'm going to focus on five primary challenges that either I've seen happen in the field or that I find are more likely in the Web3 space if not properly mitigated. Now, this is going to be broken down into sections, and one of these sections I'll actually have a separate video specifically not defining implementation steps, where I'll go into more details on how we can do this. So this is going to include a lack of vision and alignment. So this is going to mean anything that a person doesn't understand or a leadership team doesn't understand what they're hoping to actually achieve from a CRM system. Is it meant to be a location to aggregate the tasks that are happening across the various teams? Is it something that's meant to just be a contact storage mechanism, like an ActiveCampaign or Klaviyo account? Or is this meant to be a platform where they're able to draw insights from what's happening across your organization? There's a lot of functions that could happen. And what I find is that sometimes teams will be excited by the possibilities of what can happen, but maybe not know the best way to put it together. Kind of like in one of the previous videos, we had talked about what it takes to really have a comprehensive analytics and forecasting features built inside of something. If a project doesn't understand that they need to have custom fields to be able to capture this data, then all of a sudden they have a CRM system with thousands of contacts in it, but no way to determine how effectively are they managing those contacts or what does a follow-up pipeline look like. The next would be not having a responsible champion. So what this means is that realistically, there should be somebody that can fix any problems or find solutions for any different types of opportunities that the team decides is interesting in the CRM. If there's no one who's held accountable to being able to be the leader of making sure that when a problem arises, that a functional solution is provided, unfortunately, it's something that these things can add up in terms of technical debt. So a way that we can overcome this challenge and be able to ensure that this is as successful as possible of an implementation is to have somebody like myself to go in and interact with each one of the different team members to understand what each team is needing, what challenges they face uniquely, as well as what are some potential solutions that can be done in order to make sure that we mitigate cost in terms of technical risk as far as technical complexity, excuse me, and also finding ways to help make adoption as smooth as possible. Of course, we have to have a tremendously simple user experience so that way people are incentivized to use it. On top of that, one of the challenges that happens from not having a specific champion, maybe it's something where somebody has a executive assistant or maybe a newer associate without background in CRM, is they may not understand what the business needs are. So if the business is looking to be able to get better insights into how they're performing in terms of the deals management, that requires a deep understanding of the deals process. If a company is wanting to have better insights into how efficient are they being from a task management standpoint and how much value creation or profitability are they gaining from their project management infrastructure, that requires an understanding of what projects are occurring. What are the different roles and responsibilities involved? What are the timelines that are estimated? And what are the variables that typically lead to success or failure? By having a champion, somebody who is responsible for ensuring that that CRM system is able to run as smoothly as possible, it makes it to where then there's a source of truth that people can go to ask questions. Next would be not defining implementation steps. So there's a lot of different design decisions that can be made in a CRM. We can highlight, take a dashboard, for example. We could highlight things from a very high level. How many active deals do we have versus what are the average timelines of deals occurring? And we can filter that down all the way to an individual leaderboard system that's able to showcase what the operational or performance efficiency is of individual people. But this is a system that may not be very relevant to, let's say, an operations director who's more so wanting to find out what is the bottlenecks that are occurring from a system standpoint, as he or she may be wanting to figure out what are the next updates they can put together, what training materials should they have. And yeah, that goes into a lot more detail when we discuss what training could look like. This video that you're watching and this documentation that you're looking at is actually an example of what training could be. I've specifically set this up as a Notion document to make it easy to quickly poke through and navigate to the parts that are most interesting to an individual. Realistically, this would be better built as a knowledge base or a wiki of sorts, which is just the same as this, but copy and paste into a different UI. Next would be having a boring or ineffective rollout. So what this means is if a CRM system is built without the individual users in mind, they're probably not going to see the benefit or have very much motivation to use it. The fact is that having a CRM can usually make it to where it can increase the productivity of a team while also decreasing the amount of work and headache that can occur from the actions you're already taking. For example, a development team can often get overloaded with constant new feature requests coming in. On the other hand, by having a system like GitHub where people can submit different PRs to be able to share feedback and what they're seeing, to point out challenges that they're finding in the code base, it provides a single source that developers can then prioritize what needs to be done. Let's say that didn't happen. Well, then a dev team would be left with a never-ending list of requirements, and it would be very difficult to manage and maintain, categorize, and prioritize these different tasks. The same thing happens when you're dealing with the deals pipeline. If you have 1,000 contacts that are active inside of a group and there's no organization or tagging structure to determine how far along different contacts are, then it would be impossible for the leadership team to be able to determine what's really happening. So yeah, it's something where to make a rollout as effective as possible, I found that it's best to gamify it a little, to be able to find out from the different teams what are the challenges that they're facing and create something special, a little bit of a wow factor that makes it to where it helps makes people's jobs easier. So that way we can find the difficult parts of what's happening in their daily workflows, and we can optimize those. And ideally, this also produces a bit of an operational performance increase right off the back, which is a great chance for an ROI early on. And then finally, one of the biggest things you've heard me talking about is not collecting feedback. See, a CRM system, while yes, it is very, very simple in concept, the fact is that everybody's needs are different and those needs can often change. So it's something where by making it so that a feedback system is not only able to collect and aggregate information, but that there's also somebody listening to the feedback that comes in and taking action on it. It's very important to ensure that the system stays up to date for those modern needs. And when it comes down to why projects might usually fail if they are setting up a CRM, it's because they're not doing one of these things. They don't have a clear understanding of the vision or alignment with the leadership team on why it's needed. They may not have somebody to go to whenever there's questions or comments or solutions that they need to have found. They may not necessarily have any implementation steps or training or a place that people can go and update the information on how they expect things to be done, or it just might be boring. It might be something where it doesn't appear to be very useful because they're not utilizing the resources and features that are available inside of this. And of course, finally, to repeat there, not collecting feedback, that's usually a nail in the coffin. If no one's able to determine if the actions are being taken, then at the end of the day, it's probably not going to go well. So I hope this video has been helpful. In the next video, I'm going to talk more about what kind of an implementation steps process can we provide, whether that's a knowledge base, whether that's a wiki, whether that's a Notion document, or my personal favorite is to have the training embedded directly into the system. So that way, from a user experience standpoint, a person doesn't have to dive through hours of video or dozens of pages of documentation. Instead, it's pretty intuitive to finish step 1, step 2, step 3, and all the data collection happens internally. So that way the metrics can be deployed automatically. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I'm Andy. Till next time. Bye for now, y'all.